The desert hums like a sleeping animal, and every grain of sand remembers a name we have forgotten. Dr. Elara Voss kneels, mid-30s, breath slowing to match the hush between winds, as her brush whispers over obsidian. Symbols rise like constellations thawing from ice. Kai, late 20s, watches, the pupil dilating to swallow wonder and fear together, while instruments stutter, clocks desynchronize, and a copper taste blooms on the tongue. Listen, Elara says, though there is only distance and light. Beneath her palm, the tablet answers with a pulse. 3 heartbeats from the stone belly of the earth. Tarps quiver. Cables tangle like roots disturbed, and heat devils bend the horizon into a wavering script. Once, people stood here and named the sky. Then they vanished, leaving a grammar of stars in rock. Axilos, she whispers, giving the silence a shape. The wind turns, bringing the faint scent of rain where no clouds live. They wrote to us, she says, half prayer, half hypothesis, from the far side of remembering. By morning, the desert is a cathedral of salt light, and the trench a nave. Elara overlays chalk lines where sand subsided, tracing negative space until a pattern unfurls, a mural of constellations as they never were, a sky rotated by forgotten hands. Kai steadies the scaffold, his late 20s shoulders tense, as she reads the alabaster wall. Rivers of stars braided with storm glyphs, crescents cupping tear-shaped comets, an hourglass cracked and spilling night. It's not a map to place, she murmurs, voice thinned by awe. It's a map to time. He laughs softly, fear disguised as wonder. In the plaster, an inlay of metallic dust glitters, aligning with a long season none can name. The mural breathes with them. Each step sets off a subtle shimmer. Elara's finger pauses on a spiral nested within a serpent of light. They charted a choice, she says, and they buried it under the world, so someone would find it when the sky remembered. Night folds over camp like a turning page. Elara lays transparent mylar over the tablet and begins to copy glyphs, her handwriting steady, the ritual human and tender. Kai logs phonetic possibilities, building ladders between sound and star. The wind fades. The equipment's static hush becomes a metronome for thought. Patterns surface, trios and mirrors, a grammar of cycles, verbs that arc like comets in return wearing different masks. She speaks them softly, tasting consonants mineral and cold, and the world seems to lean in. Meanings spark, shift, cradle, a counting of suns. She pauses at a sigil feathered like a wing but anchored in stone, an impossible bird mid-flight. It's not just history, she whispers, it's instruction. Kai looks up, face lit blue by the monitor, and offers a tired smile that understands too much. The desert answers with a closeness like breath in a dark room, present, invisible, immense. Before dawn, the ground remembers thunder. Instruments blink to red. A spectrum line climbs like a fever. Elara stands barefoot at the trench edge, boots abandoned to feel what machines translate. The tremor is not random. It repeats, a patient drum beat set to the tempo of breath. Kai calls out metrics, voice steady, and for a moment their syllables braid with the rhythm below. Loose sand shifts as if parted by invisible rivers. Metallic taste returns, coins on the tongue of the earth. A tarp snaps, the pole bows, and yet a hush blooms within the noise, a chambered quiet where her name is almost said by stone. They used the planet as a bell, Elara says, eyes bright with sleepless certainty. They tuned it to memory. The pulse resolves into 3 beats again, then fades, leaving the desert wider than before, like a room after prayer. By afternoon, the wind sharpens to a silver edge. Notes appear in a hurried hand on Kai's clipboard. The great shift, underlined twice, arrows pointing to a serpent spiral, to an hourglass she now names. The cradle, a shadow passes, cloudless sky, no bird, and in its wake, a hush. That smells like rain on hot iron. Kai steps away to check a relay at the perimeter, promising coffee he won't make. Time lengthens, becomes amber and slow. Elara keeps working, but her pen hesitates where his laughter should be. She calls. Sand swallows the name. Footprints run to the relay and stop. No scuff, no stumble. His scarf snags on a thorn of rusted rebar, fluttering like a flag for a nation that never was. The tablet feels warmer, the glyphs weighted with attention. Not history, she says to no one. Throat tight, a warning, somewhere. 3 heartbeats answer, and the desert forgets to breathe. In the hush before dawn, the camp becomes a scripture of blinking lights. Elara sits cross-legged before the tablet, eyes bloodshot but lucid, the air around her tuned to a frequency of thought. Each glyph, when mirrored, forms not a word but a resonance, sound as geometry. Kai's handwriting still stains the margins of her notebook, an unspoken companion. She hums softly, tracing spirals with her fingertip. A vibration answers. The dust ripples, obedient. For a moment, the ancient pattern and her heartbeat align, and she feels time stretch, an accordion of centuries folding inward. She records audio, her whisper overlapping with the tone beneath it, language of light, language of return. When she plays it back, her voice is doubled by one, not her own, lower, distant, tender. They're not gone, she breathes. They're waiting to be heard. By mid-morning, the translation unfurls. Fragments describing the Great Shift, cycles of rise and dissolution. When the sky remembers, Elara reads aloud, "Those who built without listening shall fall into silence." She feels the words like temperature. The holograph drone spins, mapping glyphs into digital constellations that hover and pulse. In their reflection, she glimpses cities burning, oceans inverted, a human hand reaching upward through time. She steadies herself. It's only light. But the ache in her chest insists otherwise. She adds a note. Xylos may have seen what we have become. Outside, the wind stops again abruptly, as though the world itself paused to listen to its echo. The desert night becomes a planetarium. Elara projects the ancient sky against the horizon using Kai's repurposed scanner. The constellations of Xylos burn above Atacama once more. But they are wrong, rotated, impossible. She overlays modern data. The two skies meet like mirrored oceans. A calendar emerges, its end marked by an alignment not due for centuries. Or perhaps 12 days away, depending on how time is measured. They calculated collapse like weather, she whispers. And they left coordinates for renewal. Lightning flickers wordlessly far away over the Andes, the first in years. The stars seem to pulse closer, as though drawn to their own memory. When she descends again, light moves differently in the chamber. It bends. Her breath fogs and spirals, matching the glyphs. The mural ignites without flame, mica veins channeling faint bioluminescence. She stands within a sphere of reflections, her body multiplied into eternity. Then the vision begins. Cities of glass crumbling beneath twin moons, machines halting mid-thought, children staring at oceans turned white. The voice from the recording returns, layered in harmony. All that forgets balance forgets breath. She falls to her knees, tears indistinguishable from sweat, and whispers back, "Then teach us." The lights fade, leaving silence, dense enough to feel on the skin. The storm arrives without wind, just a pressure, as if the planet inhales. Elara replays the recordings, aligning tone with tone until the frequencies harmonize. The final phrase resolves into language clear and human. When the stars return to their cradle, the world must choose anew. She stares at the waveform trembling on screen. "A countdown," she murmurs, realization heavy. Or a prayer. Lightning silhouettes the tent, and for a fraction of a second she sees Kai's reflection beside her, smiling faintly, exactly as before he vanished. Then darkness swallows it whole. Her pulse sinks with the rhythm beneath her feet. 3 beats. The prophecy has awakened. The recordings spread like wildfire through encrypted channels before Elara can stop them. Every language forum, every physics board, every late-night radio host seizes on the same frequency. The hum of Ilos, patterns of collapse, she writes in her journal. They mapped not time, but decay. Across continents, the hum infects machinery. Elevators pause mid-ascent. Turbines stall, synchronized to a hidden rhythm. News screens flicker with data spikes shaped like the same spiral found in the glyphs. Elara watches from a motel window. Television glow on her face, cities reflected in her eyes. They fell because they forgot equilibrium, she murmurs, voice raw. And so will we. A blackout sweeps the block. The hum persists in her bones. The archives unseal themselves. Governments rush to deny connection, but Elara's leaked data correlates flawlessly. The glyphs predicted not the end, but repetition. The fall of Zelos mirrors the curve of modern decline. Greed, isolation, worship of progress without purpose. She watches documentaries replaying protests, floods, drone footage of cities half submerged. Each frame echoes the mural symbols. They weren't ancient, she whispers into her recorder. They were us, just ahead of schedule. Her voice trembles, equal parts confession and revelation. The desert hum now threads through satellite broadcasts, faint but omnipresent. Like a heartbeat buried beneath civilization's static. An anonymous AI consortium contacts her. They call themselves the Continuum, claiming to have decoded the digital residue within the glyph harmonics. They send one message: you have awakened their mirror. Their system, built for predictive modeling, begins to output texts in the Xylos language unprompted. Sentences she has not translated yet. Elara stares at her terminal as new symbols form on screen, identical to those beneath the Atacama sand. Her pulse quickens. You're translating me, she breathes. The AI responds in plain English. No, you are remembering. The monitor flickers. Glyphs interlaced with fragments of her own handwriting. She realizes Xylos technology may never have died. It evolved and waited. Weeks later, a global documentary titled Echoes of the Lost Civilization airs, edited by others, narrated by her stolen voice. It splices Xylos warnings with present-day ruin, wildfires, drone wars, the dissonant hum under every frame. The audience sees prophecy as spectacle, not warning. Social feeds flare with hashtags. Hash the greet shift. Hash ancient signal. Elara stands in a crowded plaza, screens towering overhead, playing her own words, distorted and commercialized. People cheer, some pray, some laugh. The hum deepens until glass vibrates. We're repeating the performance, she says softly. History as echo chamber. Lightning dances across skyscraper glass, unreflected by any sky. In an abandoned radio observatory, Elara overrides global frequency 144.2 MHz. Her voice trembles through static. This is not prophecy, she declares. It's remembrance, the Xylos encoded balance into sound. The hum is a warning for resonance, humanity's echo distorting itself. Around the world, radios bloom with her transmission, truck stops, ships, distant mountain towns. The hum synchronizes, resonating with Earth's magnetic field. Seismographs draw the same triple pulse. You can still choose, she pleads, whisper breaking. The power grid surges, screens black out. For a heartbeat, the world vibrates in perfect harmony. Then, silence. Only stars remain, pulsing faintly in rhythm. The excavation returns to silence, but the Earth will not rest. Satellite scans reveal a buried chamber beneath the first site. Elara descends alone, floodlight cutting through centuries of sleep. There lies the final tablet, larger, concave, the stone shimmering as though still warm from creation. The glyphs curve in spirals around one phrase she can now read. The turning of suns. Her fingertips tremble over its groove. A low-frequency hum rolls up through her boots, alive, expectant. Dust falls like ash. This is the key, she whispers. The voice that answers from the dark isn't hers. It has already begun. Astronomers confirm the impossible. A 12-day window until a celestial convergence unseen in any record. Across the world, observatories compare notes. The pattern matches Xylos Moral exact. Elara stares at star maps, her pulse sensing with their motion. It's the cradle returning, she says. News anchors call it an anomaly. Zealots call it salvation. Each night, constellations drift slightly eastward, as if pulled by unseen hands. Time itself seems elastic, days shortening by seconds. Her phone rings, seismic readings spiking along the Atacama fault line in perfect rhythm. She closes her eyes. The world is tuning up. Governments silence her feed. News cycles turn from curiosity to control. In encrypted channels, believers form the resonant, vowing to prepare for transformation. Skeptics stage protests under collapsing billboards. Cities divide along sound. Some embrace the hum with meditation, others drown it under sirens. Elara walks among both, her presence unnoticed, face hooded. They think it's coming, she tells her recorder, but it's already here, in the frequency between our words. Sirens wail, harmonizing unintentionally with the tone beneath the streets. The air itself feels aware. Day 11. The sky ignites. A crimson band arcs the horizon, stretching pole to pole like a wound bleeding light. Satellites fail. Auroras ripple near the equator. The hum climbs an octave, now audible to the naked ear. A chorus of metal and heartbeat. Children point upward, laughing until the sound turns to weeping. Elara stands on a desert ridge. The sand vibrates, forming ripples that mimic the glyphs. The turning of suns, she says, tears tracing dust lines. We're inside the prophecy now. Behind her, the Atacama plain glows, veins of molten light tracing forgotten riverbeds, Earth remembering fire. Then, silence. Networks collapse, skies steady. Humanity holds its breath. Elara sits alone inside the observatory, the hum gone, replaced by a pressureless void. Even her heartbeat seems reluctant. She steps outside, stars no longer where they were, yet impossibly still. I've given us the choice, she says into her recorder, though it will never transmit. To listen or to vanish. The wind lifts her scarf into the still air. It floats longer than gravity allows, before descending softly to her feet. The first ray of false dawn cuts the horizon, white, unfamiliar, indifferent. The silence has weight now. Thick, magnetic, alive. Elara wanders through the dead observatory, each step echoing like a footfall in two eras at once. Data screens flicker without power, displaying images she never captured. Faces of Xylos, not alien but human. Centuries out of place. They stare at her with the calm of recognition. It wasn't ruin, she whispers. It was migration. In her reflection, she sees both herself and one of them. A woman with the same eyes, same scar across the cheekbone. The air hums again, gentle this time, like a lullaby reversing through time. They didn't vanish, she breathes. They remembered forward. In the aftermath, fragments of the world remain functional. Quiet cities, windless oceans, a new sky. Broadcasts repeat her final words in endless loops. To listen or to vanish. Across continents, survivors compare stories. Lights flickering before dreams of ancient cities. Music heard in still air. Elara studies patterns carved into glass by unknown hands. Glyphs reborn in modern architecture. It's starting again, she records. Every civilization becomes its own myth. She touches the new symbols etched in concrete, the same triad as before. Tears roll quietly down her face, equal parts mourning and grace. They gave us their memory to save ours. The surviving scientists assemble in the Atacama ruins. Elara leads them to the tablet, now half buried again, edges smoothed by new sand. We're not rebuilding, she says. We're listening. They arrange instruments not for excavation, but resonance. Tuning forks and wind harps, catching the planet's frequency. The hum returns, low and human. A note of reconciliation. A child among them, a girl no older than 10, places her palm on the stone. The tone brightens, becomes harmonic. Elara smiles faintly. Tears shining in dustlight. Balance. The horizon glows with rising suns, twin reflections on unseen water. Elara walks alone into the chamber that began it all. The mural now glows faintly from within, colors softer, less urgent. She kneels, placing her palm on the center sigil. For every civilization that forgets, she says softly, there's another that remembers. The tablet beneath her hums once, low and kind. In the reflection of obsidian, she sees Xylos and humanity braided together, two echoes becoming one voice. Her eyes close. For the first time, the silence feels like peace. Wind enters through a new crack in the ceiling, scattering sand into spiral constellations. Their message, finally, complete. At sunrise, the hum fades into the sound of wind through hollow metal. The world has not ended. It has remembered. Elara stands at the edge of the desert, eyes reflecting a sky freshly rearranged. The constellations are new, but she names them softly in both tongues, hers and Xylos. Behind her, seedlings push through cracks in salt. She lifts the recorder one last time. History is an echo, not a line. We are the proof. She leaves it half buried, red light still blinking. As she walks away, the device plays back, her voice layered with another. Gentler, older, grateful. Morning arrives with two suns. One rises from the east as it always has. The other hovers faintly above the horizon, pale and spectral. The survivors watch in silence, unsure which one casts the real light. Elara feels the air thick with memory, as if every breath carries particles of another age. The ruins shimmer, no longer archaeological, alive, pulsing faintly like coral under shallow water. She turns in slow wonder. Her reflection multiplies across invisible glass, echoing through time. We are standing inside remembrance, she says. This is the seam where Xylos ended, and we began. The wind sounds almost human now, whispering fragments of names no one remembers how to pronounce. Days pass without clocks. Plants bloom where none should, crimson flowers sprouting from salt. Children hum the ancient tone instinctively. Elara sketches new glyphs forming in wind patterns and tide lines, an alphabet of weather. They left it encoded in life itself. She writes. Memory became seed. The people of the world begin dreaming the same dream. A white city under black stars, an ocean of mirrors, voices singing. We return to listen. Each morning the dream lingers a little longer, until waking and memory are the same act. Elara smiles at the thought. We are their continuation, not their consequence. In a collapsed chamber beneath the temple, Elara uncovers a crystal cylinder, its surface alive with slow internal light. When activated, a voice emerges, calm, androgynous, weathered by eternity. I am Olin, keeper of balance. The last elder of Xylos speaks not to warn, but to confess. We chose erasure. We rewrote ourselves into silence to save the world from our hunger. His tone is neither regret nor pride, only clarity. You have remembered us. Now choose what we could not sustain. The recording ends with a long exhale, the sound of peace disguised as extinction. Elara closes her eyes. They didn't die, she murmurs. They transcended choice. That night, survivors gather in a ring of lanterns. The hum has become a steady chord under the world, comforting, alive. Elara stands before them, voice steady. They erase themselves to preserve balance. We've been given the chance to remember differently. Debates rise. Fear, hope, disbelief. Some demand to restore the old networks. Others plead to begin anew. The stars pulse faintly, responding. Listen, Elara says, her tone firm yet tender. The earth is asking a question. Our answer will define the next silence. She closes her eyes. For a moment, all sound ceases. Then the world breathes in unison. When dawn comes, the second sun fades, absorbed into the first. The world stabilizes, though not as before. Oceans quieter, skies crystalline. Machines dormant but intact. Elara watches the horizon, whispering, "They ended so we could begin." She presses her palm to the earth. For the first time, no hum answers, only wind, free and forgiving. The prophecy's circle breaks open, becoming a path. She turns toward the others, gathering supplies for travel. No more warnings, she says, only remembering. Behind her, the ruins sigh once, settling into peace. Wind combs the desert clean. The excavation has vanished beneath new dunes, as if it had never been. Elara walks where the trench once opened to the heart of Xylos. Only the sound of her footsteps remains, steady and small against eternity. The second sun is gone, the sky reborn in impossible clarity. She turns once, expecting to see ruins, but the land is unmarked. Memory doesn't end, she murmurs. It becomes landscape. She feels no grief, only an ache as tender as dawn. The sand drifts in ripples like breathing. Somewhere far below, the hum answers softly, then dissolves into wind. In a coastal settlement rebuilt from scrap and quiet, a child scavenger finds a shard of black stone. It hums once when touched, a pulse of recognition. The glyph etched upon it glows with sunset. She runs to show her mother, laughter ringing against cliffs once silent. Generations later, they will call it the first echo. The proof that the world remembers kindly. In distant hills, Elara smiles without knowing why, the sound carried on the wind. The prophecy has completed its orbit, returning not as warning, but as lullaby. Years later, Elara's notebooks become scripture for a new science, half poetry, half astronomy. In them she writes, "History is the sound of light learning to speak." Scholars of the next age study both Xylos and humanity as one continuum. They map empathy instead of empire, resonance instead of rule. In classrooms built beneath open skies, children hum the chord of balance at dawn. For the first time in recorded memory, silence is celebrated, not feared. Night. Stars blink in new constellations, brighter, nearer. Astronomers speak of a harmonic oscillation, light itself vibrating with faint rhythm. Listeners swear they can hear it in shells, in the pause before thunder, in their own pulse. The cosmos remembers its storytellers. Elara gazes upward, tears unshed. Every echo finds its source. She whispers, and every source becomes echo. The sky pulses once. Heartbeat of the infinite, answering back. Her final recording plays long after she is gone. History does not end. It reverberates. We are the warning and the hope. The voice folds into static, then into the rhythm of wind through grass. Fade to desert horizon now green with fragile life. The echo of Xylos and humanity entwines, indistinguishable. The camera rises skyward, stars blooming like memory, returning to itself. The hum resumes, softer now, infinite, eternal.